I was fired because my boss's son hated me. My revenge changed everything. My name is Sarah Collins, and at 28, I thought I had it all figured out. Fresh out of my MBA from Northwestern, I landed my dream job as marketing director at Henderson Associates, a mid-sized consulting firm in downtown Chicago. The salary was fantastic, minus $95K plus bonuses, and I could finally afford that Honda Accord I'd been eyeing. Robert Henderson, the CEO, hired me personally. During my interview at that upscale steakhouse on Michigan Avenue, he raved about my innovative digital marketing strategies over perfectly cooked ribeye and mashed potatoes. "Sarah, you're exactly what this company needs to modernize," he said, raising his glass of Cabernet. My first 6 months were incredible. I increased their social media engagement by 340%, landed 3 major Fortune 500 clients, and even got featured in Chicago Business Journal. My colleagues loved grabbing lunch at that little Italian place nearby, and I felt like I belonged. But there was one problem I didn't see coming. Robert's son, Tyler Henderson, worked as business development manager, though everyone knew it was a glorified nepotism position. At 26, Tyler had never held a real job outside Daddy's company. While I was putting in 12-hour days and crushing quarterly targets, Tyler rolled in at 10 a.m. with his Starbucks venti Pike Place, spent most afternoons on his phone, and left by 4 p.m. in his flashy BMW M3 that Daddy bought him. The real issue: Tyler clearly resented that his father praised my work constantly. During team meetings, when Robert would highlight my latest campaign success, I'd catch Tyler rolling his eyes or checking his Apple Watch with obvious irritation. I should have paid more attention to those warning signs. 3 months later, things started shifting. Subtly at first, Tyler began inserting himself into my projects. "Dad wants me to collaborate more with marketing," he'd announced during Monday morning meetings, though Robert never mentioned this to me directly. Suddenly, my streamlined campaigns needed Tyler's input, which usually meant watering down creative concepts or adding unnecessary complexity. The first major red flag came during the Midwest Manufacturing Conference presentation. I'd spent weeks perfecting our pitch deck for a potential $2.3 million client. The night before, Tyler requested one tiny revision to slide 12. Against my better judgment, I gave him edit access to the presentation. The next morning, standing before 40 executives at the Palmer House Hilton, I discovered Tyler had changed crucial financial projections, numbers that were completely wrong. The client's CFO caught the discrepancy immediately. We lost the deal, and I looked completely incompetent. "How did this happen, Sarah?" Robert asked privately afterward, disappointment clear in his voice. Tyler jumped in smoothly. "Dad, I offered to double-check her numbers yesterday, but Sarah insisted she had everything handled. Maybe she's taking on too much." That was a complete lie. But with Tyler's innocent expression and Robert's trust in his son, who would Robert believe? Over the next month, similar accidents kept happening. Tyler would schedule conflicting meetings during my important client calls. He'd forward my internal strategy emails to competitors, claiming he hit reply all by mistake. My carefully planned product launches faced mysterious last-minute budget cuts after Tyler raised concerns about ROI projections. Each incident looked like my failure, my oversight, my poor judgment. But I was starting to see the pattern. By month 9, Tyler's campaign against me went into overdrive. He perfected the art of corporate sabotage while maintaining plausible deniability. My breaking point came during the annual client appreciation dinner at RPM Italian. I'd organized the entire event, secured the venue, coordinated catering, managed RSVPs for 150 people. Everything was perfect until Tyler offered to help with final details. The night of the dinner, half our clients received emails stating the event was postponed due to a scheduling conflict. Tyler's assistant sent these emails using my signature. Meanwhile, the other half showed up to find insufficient catering. Tyler had called the restaurant claiming I requested portions cut in half to manage costs. The evening was a disaster. Hungry clients, confusion everywhere, and me scrambling to explain what went wrong while Tyler played the concerned colleague, telling everyone, I tried to warn Sarah this was too ambitious. Robert pulled me aside near the kitchen. "Sarah, this is unacceptable. Our clients are questioning our competence." "Robert, I need to tell you something about Tyler. Tyler, he's been working overtime trying to salvage tonight. Honestly, Sarah, I'm starting to wonder if the pressure is getting to you." That's when I realized Tyler's genius. He positioned himself as the solution to problems he created, while painting me as increasingly unreliable. Every conversation with Robert now included Tyler's helpful suggestions about my workload or stress levels. The final blow came 2 weeks later. Tyler leaked my confidential salary information to the entire team during our holiday party at that trendy rooftop bar. Wow, Sarah, no wonder you're so stressed about performance, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. I had no idea marketing directors made that much more than the rest of us. Suddenly, my colleagues looked at me differently. Resentment replaced camaraderie. But Tyler wasn't done yet. January brought Tyler's masterpiece of manipulation. He'd learned that Pinnacle Industries, our biggest potential client worth $5 million annually, was considering bringing their marketing in-house instead of hiring us. This was devastating news that could cost several jobs. Tyler proposed a solution during our Monday staff meeting. What if Sarah handles the Pinnacle pitch personally? She's our marketing expert, and this could prove her value to the company. It sounded supportive, even generous. Robert loved the idea. Brilliant, Tyler. Sarah, this is your chance to really shine. What nobody knew was that Tyler had already been feeding Pinnacle's CEO negative information about our company's stability. He'd also scheduled the pitch for the same day as Chicago's worst blizzard in 5 years, information he'd gotten from his college roommate who worked at the weather service. The morning of the pitch, my Honda wouldn't start in the sub-zero temperatures. The L train was completely shut down. I called an Uber, but surge pricing meant $200 for a 15-minute ride, and even then, we crawled through unplowed streets. I arrived 45 minutes late, disheveled and apologetic, to find Pinnacle's executive team already irritated. My laptop had died in the cold, my backup materials were soggy from trudging through snow, and I looked completely unprofessional. The pitch was a catastrophe. Pinnacle's CEO barely looked up from his phone. Ms. Collins, we've heard some concerning things about your company's reliability. This morning's delay doesn't help your case. We lost Pinnacle that day, along with any chance of hitting our quarterly revenue targets. Robert called me into his office that Friday afternoon. Tyler was already there, sitting in the chair across from Robert's desk with a concerned expression that I now recognized as completely fake. Sarah, we need to talk. Sarah, this isn't easy for me, Robert began, avoiding eye contact. When I hired you, I believed you were the future of this company. But the past few months, Tyler shifted in his chair, the picture of reluctant concern. Dad, maybe we should discuss. No, Tyler, you've been patient enough. Robert's voice was firm. Sarah, the Pinnacle loss was the final straw. But it's not just that. The conference presentation errors, the dinner fiasco, team morale issues. I've been getting complaints. My heart pounded. What complaints? Several staff members approached Tyler privately. They feel your salary creates unrealistic expectations, and honestly, your recent performance doesn't justify the investment. Tyler had orchestrated this perfectly. He turned my colleagues against me while positioning himself as the caring mediator who, reluctantly, brought their concerns to his father. I think you need a fresh start somewhere else, Robert continued. We're prepared to offer 2 weeks severance and positive references. 2 weeks severance for nearly a year of building their business. I thought about my apartment lease, my car payment, my student loans. But more than the financial panic, I felt the crushing weight of injustice. Robert, Tyler has been sabotaging. Sarah, please don't make this harder than it already is. Tyler's voice was gentle, reasonable. Maybe some time away will help you get perspective on what went wrong. Robert nodded. Tyler's right. Sometimes we get too emotionally invested to see clearly. I looked between them, father and son, united against me. Tyler's slight smirk was barely visible, but I caught it. He'd won completely. I'll need your company laptop and access cards, Robert said quietly. Security will escort you out. Walking through that office for the last time, carrying my small box of personal items while my former colleagues watched from their cubicles, I felt humiliated beyond words. Tyler stood by the window, checking his phone, not even bothering to look up as I passed. But as the elevator doors closed, something crystallized inside me. Tyler thought he'd destroyed me. He had no idea what he'd actually unleashed. That night, sitting in my studio apartment with leftover Chinese takeout and a glass of cheap wine, I made a decision that would change everything. Instead of wallowing or immediately job hunting, I was going to document everything Tyler had done. I spent the weekend creating a timeline with emails, calendar screenshots, and witness accounts. What emerged was a clear pattern of deliberate sabotage spanning 8 months. Tyler had been methodical, but he'd also been sloppy in covering his digital tracks. Monday morning, I called my former colleague Jessica Martinez, who'd been laid off 3 months earlier due to budget constraints, right after she'd questioned Tyler's qualifications during a team meeting. Sarah, I heard what happened. That's horrible. Jessica, can we meet for coffee? I think Tyler Henderson has been systematically targeting people who threaten his position. Over lattes at Starbucks on State Street, Jessica confirmed my suspicions. He did the same thing to me, but I couldn't prove it. Made me look incompetent until Robert had no choice but to let me go. What if I told you I can prove it? Jessica's eyes widened. What do you mean? I showed her Tyler's email patterns, the timing of sabotaged projects, and testimonies from 3 other former employees who'd reached out after hearing about my firing. We weren't isolated incidents, we were part of Tyler's systematic elimination of anyone who made him look bad by comparison. Sarah, this is incredible. But what can we do? Robert will never believe his son is capable of this. That's when I smiled for the first time in weeks. Who said anything about convincing Robert? I'd spent my weekend researching Henderson Associates' corporate structure. The company wasn't just Robert's anymore. 2 years ago, he'd taken on equity partners to fund expansion, partners who had zero tolerance for nepotism or incompetence that affected their investment returns. More importantly, I'd discovered something fascinating about Tyler's BMW M3 and his designer wardrobe that didn't match his modest salary. Tyler had been inflating his expense reports and billing personal purchases to company accounts. But my real breakthrough came from an unexpected source, LinkedIn. Tyler's social media presence was a goldmine of corporate misconduct. Photos of him at expensive restaurants during work hours, tagged at golf courses during important client meetings, and most damning, a post bragging about how easy it is to manage family business politics that included details about manipulating employee reviews. I had everything I needed. But I wasn't going to rush this. Tyler had spent months destroying me systematically. I was going to return the favor, but I'd do it right. 3 months later, I walked into Henderson Associates' conference room for the quarterly board meeting. Not as an employee, as a consultant hired by the equity partners to conduct an operational efficiency review. During my unemployment, I'd leveraged my MBA network to land consulting gigs with 3 major firms. My specialty, identifying internal inefficiencies and nepotism-related profit losses. Word spread quickly in Chicago's tight business community, and Henderson's equity partners, concerned about declining performance since my departure, had hired me directly. Robert's face went white when I entered the conference room. Tyler, sitting beside his father, looked confused rather than concerned. He still didn't understand what was happening. Gentlemen, I addressed the board. My 3-month analysis of Henderson Associates has revealed significant operational issues stemming from internal personnel conflicts and resource misallocation. I presented my findings with clinical precision. Tyler's documented sabotage of employee performance, resulting in a 23% increase in turnover costs. His fraudulent expense reports totaling $47,000 over 18 months. Most damaging, evidence that his elimination of high-performing employees had directly caused the loss of $8.2 million in potential revenue. The Pinnacle Industries contract alone would have generated 15 times Mr. Tyler Henderson's annual salary, I explained, clicking to my final slide. The equity partners were furious. Not just about the money, but about the liability Tyler's actions created. Constructive dismissal lawsuits, potential fraud charges, reputation damage, the legal exposure was enormous. Robert, the lead partner said coldly, explain how your son's employment serves our investment interests. Robert looked destroyed. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. Tyler tried to defend himself, but his explanations only made things worse. This is clearly a vindictive attack by a disgruntled ex-employee, Tyler stammered. Sarah's just bitter about being fired for poor performance. I smiled. Mr. Henderson, 3 other companies have hired me for similar efficiency reviews since leaving here. Would you like me to read the testimonials from CEOs praising my analytical objectivity? The board voted unanimously. Tyler was terminated immediately, with no severance, and facing potential criminal charges for expense fraud. Robert was placed on probation, with his authority over hiring and firing suspended. But here's the beautiful part, they offered me Tyler's position at double his salary, plus equity participation. I accepted. Walking back into that office as business development director, watching my former colleagues' shocked faces, I felt something I'd never experienced before, complete vindication. Tyler's BMW was repossessed the following week. He moved back in with his parents and last I heard, he's working at a mall kiosk selling phone accessories. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's taking exactly what someone tried to steal from you, and doing it better than they ever could. Robert and I have a professional relationship now. He learned a costly lesson about blind trust and corporate nepotism. And me, I learned that when someone tries to destroy you systematically, the best response isn't emotional, it's strategic. Today, Henderson Associates is thriving under my leadership. We've landed 12 major clients in 6 months, employee satisfaction is at an all-time high, and those equity partners couldn't be happier with their ROI. Tyler thought destroying my career would eliminate his competition. Instead, he just made me stronger, smarter, and absolutely unstoppable. Never underestimate a woman with an MBA and a legitimate grievance.